Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the decision is out. President Rodrigo Duterte approves Metro Manila's shift to a general community quarantine. And with thousands of employees returning to work under GCQ, we get to know the government's plans to ensure their safety. And will the government give the go signal for barber shops and salons to operate under GCQ? Is dining in now an option for restaurants? Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez joins us live. President Rodrigo Duterte has announced that 4 regions, including Metro Manila, 2 provinces, and 1 city, will be placed under a more relaxed general community quarantine, or GCQ, that's starting June 1st. Meantime, the rest of the country will be under a modified GCQ. Here's the president in his own words.
We are not happy to put you in this place, but after review, maybe we can. Remember that the nation is still, the entire nation is still under quarantine. Let us move to the so-called new normal as we, let's see what develops ahead. Okay, kung mayroon lang bukas, I will be the first to announce.
So what businesses will be allowed under GCQ? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez. Secretary Lopez, welcome to the show and thank you for your time, sir.
Hello, good morning, Pinky. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that. Secretary Mon, in the meeting last night, as the President said, Metro Manila, Regions 2, 3, 4A, Albay, Pangasinan, and Davao City will be on GCQ, or General Community Quarantine, beginning June 1. So, Secretary Mon, the question really is, sino ho ba yung mga sectors na papayagan under GCQ?
Okay, so if you can recall, Pinky, the many sectors were reopened under the modified ECQ, coming from ECQ. If you remember, during the ECQ, it's mostly food, essentials, utilities, banks, capital market, etc. So, in the moving into modified ECQ, all the other manufacturing services were reopened, but limited to 50% capacity. It's just like skeleton workforce. Although they, of course, it could allow work from home, etc. Now, moving into GCQ, this 50% workforce capacity can now go on 100% capacity. So practically almost all industries, all sectors will be open, except for the few exception na sabi nga, even under GCQ, they won't be allowed yet. So these are the theaters, entertainment, leisure activities, travel. Yun pa rin ang restricted pa din under GCQ. But practically all na open na nung MECQ can now go full operational under the GCQ. So these are essentially the sectors open. So, but however, we are still working on possible inclusion of those 2 sectors na what we can say are labor intensive, service oriented. If you want to really bring back more jobs back to work, these are the areas, itong barbershop, salons, and even the dine-in services. So these 2 actually are allowed to open under the next phase, yung modified GCQ.
Modified.
Oh, yung pinaka liberal. And many provinces, areas are placed already under modified GCQ. Dito sa GCQ, they're not yet allowed, but we are finding ways, especially if we are able to strengthen yung minimum health protocol that they can institute to limit the transmission. Kaya ito lang naman yung issue dito sa sector na to yung risk of transmission. Kailangan ma-address yung concerns na yun so that we can consider reopening them earlier, even under GCQ. So these
Opo,
are some
pero definitely on June 1, hindi pa sila papayagan.
On June 1, hindi pa. So until we can really,
Okay.
they just have to wait for the approval and the announcement. But we're working on it.
Yeah. And maybe, sir, because Secretary Mon, hindi ho ba, it's being reviewed naman also every 2 weeks. So if there's a possibility, I'm assuming, sir, kung papayagan man po yung dine-in at yung mga salons, that will probably be at the earliest June 15.
You're correct. That's true. If we
Okay.
get to have
Okay.
an approval, let's say, even of, if between the two, mas advanced in terms of preparation, yung sa barbershop and salon. So it's possible that it could be an earlier reopening for this sector under GCQ.
Mm-mm.
Because under modified GCQ, allowed na sila. 50% allowed sila sa
Doon po,
modified.
modified. All right. Because again, yung modified GCQ, yan yung pinaka-liberal or mas relaxed na category. So I want to go back first to general community quarantine that starts on Monday again in Metro Manila, Regions 2, 3, 4A, Albay, Pangasinan, and Davao City. Sir, nung nag-shift po tayo 2 weeks ago, there were a lot of people who started to troop to the malls, etc. during that weekend. I know, sir, that the DTI has been going around the malls as well. Ano ho ba yung safety measures that are going to be in place under the GCQ, for example, in Metro Manila, once the malls completely open, sir?
Yes. So whenever we refer to yung minimum health protocol, at the minimum, this should be instituted. Of course, the requirement that when people enter, of course, they should be wearing the mask. No, lahat naman tayo ngayon paglabas mo na sa bahay, that's required. And then pagpasok mo in these establishments or anywhere, even in your place of work, yung temperature scanning. In the place of work, there has to be a health declaration that must be filled up. It's like you're being screened every day. This can also be done where there's also an app, digital app on this one para maging digital na rin ito. Then when you're in the office of work, nandiyan na rin yung sanitation stations around, the layouting of the office, yung hindi magkakaharapan, it would be one facing one direction, having some floor markers, may arrow kung one direction lang din nakaran para to avoid yung bungguan o yung magkasalubungan. So, what else? The frequent hand washing and sanitizing of hands and and then preventing or avoiding then yung big meetings. It could still be a digital or video conferencing type of meetings. No, so avoiding the crowd. In the malls, there are extra measures. May mga health protocol standards, merong sanitation equipment, and ganyan din. Pasok, the same health protocol. At may mga marshals din sila to turn on. There's always social distancing.
Yeah.
Yun yung important thing the social distancing and wearing of mask and constant hand washing. Talaga, it would still be a big safety measure, prevention talaga to for transmission.
Yeah, very important, sir, of course. Because of that, I wanted to ask, though, about mass gatherings, or hindi ho ba under GCQ or is it MGCQ? Pinapayagan po yung maximum of 10 people. Just to set the record straight, sir, under GCQ, is mass gathering allowed at hanggang po ilan?
Yes, those were the prescribed number, actually, standard, international standard. That's the reason why there is that separate discussion with the religious sector on what would be a reasonable number because unrealistic yun then. So mag-i-issue rin ng announcement on this one. But generally speaking, for all the other sectors, yun yung maximum number. Kaya, as I was mentioning earlier, yung mga office gathering and meetings, up to that number lang.
Yeah.
discourage nga siya.
Hanggang 10. Okay. So, is there a final decision, sir, on holding of masses?
Wala pa. So, pero maganda raw yung discussion. I was at part of that, but they will be issuing a prescribed guideline for that one.
Okay, so kailangan abangan na lang po yun.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, because they're still discussing that. And then we need to talk about transportation, sir. Because if by Monday, lahat po, almost all industries except yung pong sa Category 4, which we'll talk about later, ay papayagan na po, transportation may be a problem. Sir, we're going to talk about that after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Secretary Ramon Lopez. Secretary, transportation, that will be a big challenge on Monday because under GCQ, almost all sectors are allowed to go back to work. Sir, so sabi po ni Secretary Tugade kagabi, ang MRT and LRT daw posibleng at 12% capacity. PNR, possibly at 38% capacity, 38%. Buses, kailangan po social distancing, so possibly just 50%. What kind of solution do you think is in the offing for employees who may have a hard time going to work, sir, on Monday?
Yeah. So even thinking we are talking of allowing 100%, let's say, of permitted establishments during the GCQ. Our new normal that we would normally require, itutuloy pa rin yun, like encouraging offices still to have alternative work arrangements, yung longer hours and fewer days in a week, like 4-day work week or work from home. Yung mga ganung arrangement, providing shuttle services, those are still part of the equation. Para that basically to help unload yung pressure then on the public transport. At the same time, it's safer also for your workers kung ikaw ay company, safer din kasi it's really yung contact tracing, mas madali, kayo yung kasama even in the office. Kaya maganda talaga naka-provide yung shuttle services. So lahat itong measures na to will still be encouraged so that we can more or less manage the public in terms of yung transportation requirements.
The problem though, Secretary Mon, is that some employers are saying, especially dun sa MSME, napakamahal daw po nung pag-shuttle. Not just MSMEs even, sir, even bigger companies, if they were to provide shuttle service, ang mahal daw po ng pagrenta ng sasakyan.
Talagang, well, I can agree to that also. Kaya there are other ways. Kung pwede nga, ma-house yung iyong mga employees also sa, minsan kukuha ka ng apartment, yung employer, para may matutulugan yung workers sa hindi malayong lugar so that you also help in the process. So ito yung the different ways of really helping our workers.
Right.
And I'm sure makakahanap naman ng paraan. Kasi yung mga employers also gusto rin naman nila na mas makapasok yung workers nila. Especially kung operations type, no? Kung mga administrative type, yan yung mga pwedeng work from home naman.
Right. And Secretary Mon, they are encouraging the use of bikes. In fact, they really want to put a bike lane also on EDSA, because what's happening, sir, is that I think bike sales are up because people started to buy bikes as a mode of transportation.
Oo nga biglang naging in demand, naging essential. And some people telling us, i-price control yun no? So anyway, we will look into that as well. Kasi merong
price control
spike.
for bikes. That's right, sir. Also, madami po nagtatanong, travel. If you can help us travel from GCQ to GCQ, unang-una po by land. Ano ho ba ang pwedeng payagan? Definitely, trabaho from GCQ to GCQ if you need to go to work. Papayagan po sila. But if you were to travel from GCQ to GCQ, let's say to go to your parents' home or a friend's home, is that going to be allowed, sir?
O what I remember the guideline is that yung mga leisure activities, even like tourism, hindi pa rin siya allowed kasi GCQ is still like a restricted movement. It's limited to movement of workers as well as yung mga individuals na may pass to do their errands. So medyo limited pa din. Ayun, unless there's an emergency case or bringing let's say the elders to the hospital for checkups and gano'n, I think that those have been allowed anyway. So ganun pa rin yung arrangement. It is really in modified GCQ yung mas may really back to new normal, as we call it.
Yeah. We have a question from Jofel Oliquino. Any updates on domestic flights? Tinatanong din po, GCQ to GCQ, will that be allowed? Narinig ko po si Secretary Tugade last night, sir. Ang sabi niya that domestic travel will be allowed. Now, what I don't understand, sir, is it commercial domestic travel? Can one travel domestically from GCQ to GCQ? Or hindi ho? Would you be able to answer that, Secmon?
Again, my understanding, referring also to the movement of people. So those only part of, let's say, performing your work. In other words, hindi siya leisure activity. Hindi pa siya for tourism. So yun yung limitation. But that will be allowed. Also in transporting OFWs back to their provinces. Yan yung mga purpose pa rin.
Right.
Yung mga...
Secmon?
Yes. Can you hear me? So yun pa rin yung mga purpose ng travel.
Yeah, okay. Yun pa rin yung purpose ng travel. I guess for now, sir, it's just good to put in mind that it's essential to travel from one GCQ to another for now until we have a better and detailed siguro instructions, sir, on this or information on this.
Yes, but as a general guideline, the movement of people would have to be yung essential for an essential purpose. In other words, non-leisure.
Yeah.
Hindi pa rin siya yung for leisure like travel, like for tourism. The tourism and all those na mga restricted will really be open sa next level, which is the modified GCQ, wherein ma-allow na yung operating capacity up to 50% of let's say the tourism places and even the movement here also.
So, Secmon, does that mean that hotels under MGCQ will already be allowed for leisure? Because yung pong ECQ, let's say Metro Manila for example, ay GCQ na po ngayon. Pero yung mga previously GCQ ay halos lahat po sa kanila ay nasa moderate GCQ. So pwede na po ang tourism doon?
Yes. 50% operating capacity na dun sa modified GCQ. So since tourism will be allowed up to that extent, of course the hotels and the ancillary industries will be allowed as well.
All right, we're going to talk about yung mga hindi pa rin po pinapayagan and what's the plan of the DTI regarding this. We'll be taking another short break. We'll be right back. Still with us, Secretary Ramon Lopez. Sir, so pag-usapan na po natin yung not allowed. So not allowed is under Category 4. I will name them, sir, gyms, fitness studios, entertainment facilities, kids amusement industry, library, museum, tourist destination, although you clarified this, sir, tourist destination will be allowed under modified GCQ and travel agency personal care services. Sir, any update on this sa mga gyms, fitness studio? Ito pong nasa not allowed na category 4.
Oo, sa under GCQ not allowed, but in the next level again, in the modified GCQ, so again, it's part of liberalizing and and reopening the economy rin. So dito ma-allow na sila sa modified ECQ. So all areas under modified can start to operate itong mga businesses na to at 50% operating capacity.
So they're allowed already, sir? Yung mga magta-transition on June 1 from GCQ to MGCQ. Is it safe to say, sir, that all industries are open under a modified general community quarantine?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, pero yung exception ho, sir, yung sabi mong pinag-uusapan pa yung, for example, yung mga simbahan.
Yes, correct. Yun sa yung mga place of worship under modified ECQ, under modified, they are allowed na I think 50% of capacity also under the modified ECQ. So yung pinag-uusapan ngayon is referring to a GCQ situation. In other words, whether we can allow more people for religious services under GCQ. So yun yung pinag-uusapan.
Right. And that siguro they'll have, as I mentioned a while ago, Secmon, no, maybe they'll come up with a better siguro solution dito po sa mass gathering because marami din pong nagtatanong. There's a question, sir, from Facebook. Is there a time limit shopping in malls?
Wala naman. No time limit. Of course, but you will notice that the number of stores opened is still down to about 20% only of your total. So nothing much to do except to do your errands. And at least in the modified ECQ, they turned up the temperature higher than usual. In other words, warmer, mas mainit ng konti. At saka wala raw Wi-Fi. So yun. So parang medyo still discouraging yung loitering and hanging out in the malls. You can do your errands.
Right. Now. As much as possible, in and out. Don't stay inside the mall. You know, Secmon, I saw a report that in some malls, hindi din nila daw pinapayagan yung mag-try ng sukatin yung damit na gusto mong bilhin. Is that going to be a problem, sir?
As long as allowed naman kasi yung return and exchange. So bawal kasi yung no return, no exchange, di ba? So as long as allowed naman yun. Kasi yung not trying it or fitting it, I think it's more for safety purposes talaga eh. So baka ikaw rin as a customer, you don't want to do it nowadays. So better na lang na worst case is may return and exchange na lang.
Yeah. Siguro, sir, you said it right, no? If we even want to buy something, it's also best that you really don't try it and then kung di mo gusto, ibalik mo pa dun sa rack, no? Kung gusto mo, iuwi mo na lang, bilhin mo, pero dapat may return. Sir, question, another one from Facebook. Sabi po dito, what about DTI's response on waiving of rents para po sa mga small businesses? Merong sinisingil pa rin daw kahit daw walang benta.
Yeah. So our policy there is not waiving but deferment of payment because we cannot mandate a waiving. It has to be voluntarily done by the lessor. That's the reason why swerte yung mga nasa major malls, they have announced yung waiving. No, I think the big three malls, they have announced the waiving of the rent during the time of ECQ. But for the outside the malls, outside those three, puro deferment ang pinag-uusapan. So, but again, the operative word there is if the business or the micro SME is still not operating during, let's say, the modified ECQ. If you're already operating, tapos na yung grace period, magkikick in na yung 30-day grace period, yung counting nun. So that you will be paying in the next due date already. And you will be also paying the unpaid accumulated amount during the quarantine period. So yun yung formula natin is to divide it by 6 para 6 installment yun.
Right. But Secmon, what are your thoughts on this? Unang-una po, kung di po sila nakapag-operate, let's say in 3 months, pero deferred po. Again, you're saying the DTI naman can't mandate this, ano? Hindi nga ho sila kumita ng 3 buwan. And coming fourth month, entering the fourth month, I can imagine, sir, I'm assuming that the sales will still be very low. So, may utang po sila ng 3 buwan, tapos coming into the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh month, maliit pa rin po yung kanilang kikitain. Paano kaya sila makapagbabayad?
Oo, it's a problem. Kaya fortunately, hindi natin ma-waive. So, ang next best also is to negotiate with the lessor. And yun, ginagawa din. Even in these major malls, for example, para lang magbukas uli yung mga stores inside kasi natatakot pa rin bumalik or health reason or for they think na wala pang foot traffic yung customers. Yung mga malls,
Right.
pinababa rent moving forward, I think until the end of the year. Iba-iba yung application para lang makapag-open uli. Hindi matakot yung tenant or yung SMEs.
All right.
At it can also be done in other commercial rent engagement that mag-usap na lang and mag-negotiate sila kasi because of the very, very weak business and yung slowdown sa economy, mapag-usapan na lang nila yun.
All right. So, maghanda na po tayo, SecMon, because Monday, almost all sectors will be opened. Well, actually, all, no? Maliban na lang po nga dun sa category 4 ng mga gyms, fitness centers, etc., and dine-in. So, maybe just an advice or reminder to the public, SecMon.
Oh, well, we came from a fast-growing economy. Optimistic po tayo that we will bounce back. But for us to bounce back, the government is trying to make arrangement for a stimulus package at yung mga support natin, especially for the micro SMEs, that for them to be able to resume operation. And importante, to keep not to lay off people, ma-keep nila yung mga workers nila para po may income din. At yun po, that's the start of restarting the economy. Yung bang may income pa rin sila, that will create the demand, and of course mag-encourage uling mag-produce ang mga negosyo, and only then can we see na iikot ulit yung economy and we'll bounce back. We'll heal as one.
Yeah. It may be a slow start, sir, but we'll bounce back, huh?
True.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez. Sir, take care.
Thank you po. Take care.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.